I want you to realize that not all your friends and relatives are inspired by the Holy Spirit. You may say, duh, of course, Rashid, I know this. Not all of them are born again. Or some are born again, but they're not renewed in your mind. The reason I'm reminding you of this is because spirits of divination sometimes make use of our friends and relatives to minister unto us. Yes, I've said it. Spirits of divination are intrusive. They don't wait for you to go to a fortune teller, because many of you will never enter the office of a fortune teller. Never. So the spirits of divination will make plans to get to you. So it can be that you have an uncle that you're very fond of, but his uncle has a drinking problem secretly. And this drinking problem gives demons access to your uncle. So now demons begin to use his uncle to minister unto you. Because you trust his uncle, you talk to him about what you're going through. And now the demons are speaking to you through this uncle. So actually, your uncle is used as a channel for fortune telling, and he is not even aware of it. Such things happen. Others have certain friends that demons use to minister unto them. The reason I'm telling this because I've witnessed this. That I was speaking to someone and suddenly I sensed as if there was something speaking to that individual, but it was not Holy Spirit. And later when I examined the situation, I realized, man, it was a spirit of divination. When you follow Christ, you will encounter this. Worldly people are programmed in a self-destructive manner anyway, so demons won't make much effort on them. But when you're born again and when you're in agreement with Christ, demons want to get you off track. And they will do this by ministering unto you through people that aren't aware they're being used by demons. That's why I'm telling you very plainly here. Examine those you are in contact with. Really examine them. Because some of you have a spirit of divination that's haunting you. That's why every life decision you make ends up in a very awkward manner. Why? You have people close to you. Maybe it's one of your parents. Maybe it's a sibling. I don't know who it is. You have someone close to you through whom the spirit of divination is operating against you. Because the spirit of divination operates the same way against believers as it does against unbelievers. The spirit of divination doesn't want you to rely on Christ. The spirit of divination wants to be the one giving solutions to you. But those solutions will always push you away in pride, in self-confidence, instead of relying on Christ. So that's how you can examine whether that spirit is working through someone. Is that individual teaching you or pushing you to rely on Christ? Or is that individual pushing you to rely on yourself? If someone is pushing you to rely on yourself, then most likely there's a spirit of divination working through that individual. Especially when you realize that someone can't handle it when you don't follow their advice, or when someone is kind of desperate in you following their advice. As when someone has that attitude, then absolutely that's a big red flag. Then very, very likely it's a spirit of divination working through that individual. And here's the thing. Spirits of divination aren't out there to lead you on the wrong path. No. Spirits of divination want you to do well. But they want you to do well on their terms, not on God's terms. It can be that the spirit of divination also wants you, for example, to get married. Because the spirit of divination knows that's God's will. But the spirit of divination wants you to get married with someone that will hinder you and frustrate you on the long term. So in this case, the spirit of divination will imitate Holy Spirit. But it's not Holy Spirit speaking through someone to minister to you. It's a demonic spirit. And listen to what I'm saying here. Spirits of divination can give you loving, warm advice. They can, and they do. But the loving, warm advice is to keep you away from Christ. So eventually it's not that loving nor kind at all. But because too many folks have been brainwashed to rely on friends and relatives instead of relying on God, they unknowingly take counsel from evil spirits. And that's something quite serious. That's why some of you lose people all the time. Some of you, you meet folks, you befriend them, but after maybe 2 or 3 months, you contact is gone. Some of you keep losing folks all the time, and you think, what am I doing wrong? Now listen to what I'm saying here. It's a blessing in disguise. It's not you being rude. It's not you pushing people away. What if most of those people you came in contact with are under the spell of a spirit of divination? Because that's how the demons do. The spirit of divination, they use mainstream media to keep the population in a mess under the spell of divination. That's why you have most media for. That's why it's called the media. Media is a plural of medium. You get what I'm saying? And when someone's under the spell of divination, they are not aware of it. So if you befriend someone who's under the spell of divination, maybe it's either through mainstream media because someone believes literally everything mainstream media is telling them, or maybe because someone has an uncle or a friend or even a parent through whom the spirit of divination is working, or if someone is visiting fortune tellers directly, if someone is under the spell of divination, such an individual in the long run will be a snare unto you. So when you agree with Christ and walk by faith, the Holy Spirit will cut those people off from you. He will. That's why many of you keep losing people all the time. You keep moving forward, you keep meeting new people, but you often keep losing people. That's not Satan. That's the Most High. Satan wants you to be connected to loving and kind people, but those people are not in line with Christ. Their loveliness and kindness will be a snare unto you. That's why it's important to keep the bigger picture in mind. Just because things happen quickly for someone, very quickly they get a job, very quickly they get a promotion, very quickly they find a significant other, very quickly they get married, very quickly they have children, very quickly. Just because such things happen very quickly for someone doesn't mean it's a blessing. There are people that found jobs quickly. They found the significant other quickly, got married quickly, they had kids quickly, and later they found out that their spouse was trying to kill them. What was going on? Their relatives and their friends were behind them choosing an individual because the individual matched the expectations of society. But here's the thing, it was a spirit of divination using those relatives to get that individual into a marriage or into a relationship with that narcissist. Because the demons knew that that individual was a narcissist. So the spirit of divination used relatives and friends to get the target into a relationship with a narcissist. And it's only after a few years that the time bomb went off. But it was a plan from the start to get someone involved with a time bomb. Look, there are folks that really mean well. There are folks who really have no intent in harming you. There are folks who are genuinely concerned with you. But their concern is not Christ-centered. You have folks who are apathetic, who are narcissistic, only focus on themselves. I'm not talking about those, because those, nobody really wants to think about them. Folks want those around them who are concerned with them. But let me tell you, just because someone's concerned with you doesn't mean that it's safe for you to be around someone like that. If their concern is not Christ-centered, or if you realize that there is some kind of divination behind their concern, then don't fool yourself. When you feel that something isn't right with the individual or situation, then most likely it is. You don't have that gut feeling for nothing. Well, that's it for this video. I'm telling you from experience, do not listen to everyone. Just because someone is kind and loving and filled with concern for you doesn't mean that the individual is safe. Remember, Satan plans grace as an angel of light. So, demon spirits, spirits of divination do the same thing. They masquerade behind loving and kind people to minister unto you, unto destruction. So always examine those around you and examine what they say. Put it in perspective. Look at the bigger picture. Be at peace.